No one can escape heartbreak. As good or as blessed as any life can be, a time will come when that life is touched by loss, pain, and death. When our hearts are broken, we question why. Why did my health fail? Why did the person I love walk away? Why did my child die? The Christian tradition has no answers to these questions. We believe in a good and loving God who cares for humanity, but we cannot explain why things fall apart. Bad things happen, but making sense of them is beyond our competence. Attempts to situate pain as God's tool, interpreting it as a lesson or a punishment or a blessing in disguise, only distort the reality of a loving God and give no comfort to those who suffer. So rather than trying to explain heartbreak, it is wiser to know how to negotiate its presence. Since it is futile to make sense of pain, it is better to discover a way to survive it. There is a single sentence in the New Testament that lays out a plan for doing this. It occurs in an unlikely place. At the end of the story of Jesus' birth, we are told about the thoughts of his mother. And Mary treasured all of these things, reflecting upon them in her heart. What Mary is treasuring are the events of Jesus' birth, but it is perplexing that she is treasuring all of them. If the line read, Mary treasured some of these things, it would make perfect sense, because some of the things of Jesus' birth were quite wonderful. The angels sang, shepherds rejoiced, the wise men brought gifts. These would all be things that Mary would treasure. But other aspects of the birth were filled with pain. When Joseph, her future husband, discovered that Mary was pregnant, he made plans to divorce her. Now in time, Mary and Joseph moved beyond that hurtful decision, but exactly what part of that near disaster do we imagine that Mary was treasuring? In the last weeks of her pregnancy, Mary was compelled to take a long and difficult journey to Bethlehem, and then place her newborn son in a filthy manger. Was this something that Mary would hold close to her heart? After Jesus' birth, King Herod tried to kill the child, which forced Mary and her family to flee to Egypt. Why would this be something that Mary would fondly remember? Why then does the text read, Mary treasured all of these things? The answer is found in the Greek term that we translate as treasure. It comes from a root which means to hold on to, and by extension, to own or accept. What the text is telling us is that Mary accepted all the events of Jesus' birth, even the painful ones. Why did Mary accept her heartbreak? Because she understood that she had no other viable option. These tragic things happened to Mary. She could either claim them as her own or have them claim her. She could either accept her pain or allow that pain to turn her life into a continuing tragedy of anger, depression, and denial. She could own her heartbreak or resign herself to a life of continuing anger with Joseph over his refusal to trust her, of ongoing depression about the pathetic circumstances in which she gave birth, of fatal denial about the decision of Herod to kill her son. Mary did not choose to live that way. That is why she accepted all the things of Jesus' birth. She held them, she owned them, because they were the way the birth came about. Both joyful and tragic, they were her story. The first step in negotiating heartbreak is acceptance. Healing begins when we can say, yes, this really happened to me. Yes, I have cancer. Yes, I am divorced. Yes, I have been deeply hurt by someone I trusted. Acceptance does not turn heartbreak into a blessing. Loss remains loss. Pain remains pain. But acceptance makes them our loss and our pain, and thereby gives us some power over them. But there is a second step to Mary's strategy. The same verse that tells us Mary treasured all of these things, then adds, reflecting upon them in her heart. Again, the Greek is helpful. The word we translate as reflecting means literally to put or to throw together. So this verse is telling us that Mary first accepted her heartbreak and then threw it together with the rest of her life. It is natural to focus only on our losses, but life cannot be built out of pain. Hope cannot be found in a void. Once we have claimed our heartbreak as our own, we must mix it together with the good things in our life which still remain. Yes, I am divorced, but I have friends who have stood by me throughout the entire process. Yes, I have been deeply hurt, but I still have my health and my creativity. Yes, I have cancer, but the threat it poses has forced me to see what really matters and allowed me to open my heart wider to those I love. Bad things happen to us all, but we can negotiate them through acceptance and throwing together. The experience of Mary dares us to treasure all the things that have happened to us and to hold what we have experienced in our hearts. When we claim our heartbreak as part of our story, we diffuse its power to rule us by anger, depression, or denial. When we mix it together with the good things which remain in our life, we begin to see that our lives are larger than our losses. The strategy of Mary may never take our heartbreak away. Profound wounds, once opened, never heal completely. And yet, it still makes sense to throw our pain together with the rest of our lives. It is the only way to find nourishment for living. It is the only way to allow the good things to win.